Hello everybody, so great to be able to present today, even though I'm not able to be at your wonderful celebration in person. I'd like to start off by saying congratulations to EuroGeoSurveys for your 50th birthday. It's a great achievement. I wish I could be there to celebrate with you, but we have some fairly pressing matters in government at the moment that I can't leave behind. My name's Steve Hill. I'm the Chief Scientist at Geoscience Australia, and I'd like to share with you today some things that I think are sometimes overlooked, but probably well known to many of you. So therefore, some things that will be great to just highlight and maybe remind us all about in building tomorrow's connection and trust to sustain the value of geoscience. Before I go on, I'd also like to just briefly acknowledge the country that I'm speaking to you from is part of the lands of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, who are the traditional custodians and owners of this area in the Canberra district of Australia. And I realise that this audience will be including people that come from all different lands with all different connections to people, past, present, and also into the future. So thank you for that. Let me start off by saying that we are awesome. Geoscientists and geologists are fantastic, and we should celebrate that and be proud of it. We understand our planet better than anyone else at any previous time. We hold the key for our future resource needs and their impacts. We can harness our technology to measure and observe the Earth in ways that have never been done before. And this valuable and important science is really critical for the future of our existence. I think we know that, but I just want to make sure that I reinforce it as the commencement to this talk, because the funny thing is, and it's one of our frustrations, is why doesn't everybody else know this? Aren't they listening, or don't they understand? What do? Do we bang on the desk and tell them more? I don't think we do, but that's sometimes how many of us have felt at times in trying to get our message across and explain the value of what we do. So what do we tell people? And how do we tell them? And why would they want to listen? They're the things that I'm going to try and build on a bit today through three main themes in this talk. Firstly, building connection. Secondly, can we be trusted? And then a little bit about what we can do with some examples of some of the things that we're doing as part of our journey at Geoscience Australia. Before I go further, just a little bit about Geoscience Australia and where I'm coming from. Our purpose is to be the trusted source of information on Australia's geology and geography for government, industry and community, and to ensure that there is evidence-based informed decisions that are being made for the benefit of our nation. And we do that by working across these 7 main strategic impact areas around building Australia's resources wealth, community safety, our water resources, our marine areas, a location-enabled Australia, ensuring that we have an informed Australia, and then also trusted, sustainable and high-performance teams. So let's now have a look at building connection and what I think is really an important starting point. As scientists, there's a well-acknowledged connection to our subject matter expertise. We often use that to define ourselves, to communicate. We often are very keen to tell people what our expertise is. In our quest for that elite subject matter expertise, we can sometimes forget about other types of connections. In particular, connection to the country or connection to country, and in particular, how that country is part of the Earth's systems. And the other type of connection that's important is connection to people and communities. Let's have a look at that connection to country and Earth's systems a little more. The exciting thing is that that is well acknowledged as being important by many First Nations people. And we often think about that as being, well, they live so close to the land, they live so close to the country, their livelihoods are dependent on it. Well, so are ours. So that sort of idea of connection to country and earth and land is still important today, but we sometimes seem to forget it. And as a result, we wonder whether our society is losing that connection to country and that appreciation of how Earth systems work. And then also that connection to people and community, particularly people and community, of course, when we acknowledge that they're living within that country or that Earth system. And the big trap there for us as scientists is really to communicate in matters of fact rather than matters of concern. And this, I've heard a lot of fantastic discussions around this, particularly by Ian Stewart with the British Geological Survey, and I think quite enlightened perspective there. And part of that is also that importance of engaging with people firsthand, not just by sending out emails from the office, but actually getting out into communities, onto country, and engaging with people there. But the funny thing is I've very carefully chosen the word engaging rather than communicating, because engaging actually requires that we actively listen ahead of speaking. And I really can't stress that enough, and what a difference that can make to how we actually engage and connect with people. Next bit is about, can we be trusted? Trust. It's not just a sort of luxury, touchy-feely or nice thing to have. It is so important for our credibility, and it can take many different forms around our self-trust, relationship trust, organisational trust, and our reputation and societal trusts. And the great thing about that is that really societal trust depends on how we can create value and give back public value to others. And it's not conditionally transactional. It's not part of that discussion of, oh, we did this for you, so therefore you should trust us. It's actually something that we build over time and really through our actions, particularly because of that last point on the slide here about how we judge our own level of trust by our intentions, yet we assess others by their actions. It's really important for us to remember that. As a really good example, and this is something I've adapted from some of Simon Sinek's very popular presentations on the internet, is around how we perhaps choose people to work with. And the temptation is to try to get high performance, high trust people, but they're hard to get and they run out pretty quickly. We certainly don't want people with low performance and low trust, but we have to be careful going for the high performance and low trust. They're typically toxic to the workforce and toxic to the community. And instead, perhaps we're better off looking into lower performance, but still high trust. And for some roles, even low performance, high trust can be a better option. The question is, what do we first and foremost value in geoscience, and how do we measure people? We typically go for performance because it's easier to measure than trust. So part of the challenge is that as scientists, we've personally invested in our skill, knowledge, and experience. And so we try to sustain that in our careers. And that can lead to, in actual fact, that people try to, when they try to embrace or lead change, that can be actually quite a difficult thing for people to take on. And therefore we run the risk of becoming institutionalised as scientists if we're not careful. So let's have a think about now, just in the last minute or so, about what we can do to make a difference. At Geoscience Australia, we've not only developed our decadal strategy of the impact of our science and our work, but we've also developed a separate strategy about how we do our science. And we've picked out 6 main strategic principles there around relevance, collaboration, quality, transparency, communication, and sustainability. And these are, as I said, fundamental to how we do our science. And one of the really important things to ask around that, and for us to all consider, is, do we bring our best person to our science? Because the feeling is that by bringing our best person to our science, we actually project and put forward science in a more connected, trusted, and better light. But is our workplace safe to do that? Will it be respected if we do it? And for some places, this requires significant cultural change. And we've been on that journey at Geoscience Australia, and we're still on that journey. We've paid a lot of attention to a lot of these areas around leadership, talent management, training, mentoring, performance management, and flexible workplaces. And we're starting to see some of the changes that we wanted to see. In this case, we've changed from 2019 to today our gender balance on both all of our employees, but particularly in our senior leadership, where we now have a 50-50 gender split between male and female. So I need to keep to time. So to wrap it up, let me just remind you of what's been important in this presentation, and that's been highlighting the value and importance as geoscientists of connection, particularly connection not only to our subject matter, but to our country and our Earth systems, and then also connection to people and community. Also, that importance of building trust and the value of trust and having people that are promoting our science, that are behaving in ways and building trust. And then lastly, have a think about, do we bring our best person to our science, and are our organisations supporting people to bring their best person to the science? Thank you very much. I wish you all the very best. I hope you have a great day celebrating the birthday of the EuroGeoSurveys. Goodbye.